Hello and welcome to Daily Politics on Trust TV. On this program, we discuss issues around politics, policy and governance. I am Shafiu Suleiman. As consultations, alliance talks and other strategic engagements intensify ahead of next year's election, political direction and dynamics continue to change by the minute. In this chase game of politics, no one is certain about where the pendulum will swing as presidential candidates and their campaign teams continue to strategize for effective campaigns that will earn them the much-needed votes of Nigerians. It is against this backdrop we'll be engaging an APC chieftain and a former Minister of Communication, Barrister Shitu, to give us his perspectives on this issue. Welcome to the program.
It's my pleasure to be back in your beautiful studio.
Thank you very much. So before we commence the discussion proper, let's take a short break. We'll be back shortly. Stay with us.
TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Thank you very much for staying with us on Daily Politics. And just like I said earlier, we have in the studio former Minister of Communication, Shitu, who is an APC chieftain. And of course, will be joining us to discuss 2023 and whether the APC can retain its mandate. Thank you very much once again for joining us, Minister.
It's my pleasure.
Right. Okay, let's go straight into this conversation. It's less than 28 days, precisely 27 days to the lifting of ban, on political campaigns across the country. And politicians are already strategizing, as we can see. The Southwest, is one battleground, some will say, looking at, the political configuration right now. Even though some will say because of the emergence of Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the Southwest might be, in the kitty for APC. But there are also concerns that it might not be, a smooth sail. What will you say with regards to the Southwest? Is it going to be 100%, in the kitty for the APC?
Let me tell you straight away, and sincerely for that matter, that our target is to get 80% of the votes in the Southwest. And this target is very realistic, having regard to the fact that the love which our people have for our principal, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is akin to the almost fanatical support that they had given to the late Chief M.K. Abiola. One may say, but there are certain states where there are, PDPs in control. But if you ask the average electorates in those states, they will tell you for president, for presidential election, it is Bola Ahmed Tinubu all the way.
But then some would say charity begins at home, for instance. Recently, we had one of the spokesperson of the the PDP, who did use that analogy. He said, they've defeated your principal, fairly and squarely in his home state, talking about Oshun. so if he can be defeated in Oshun, which is in home state, including his ancestral home.
Yeah, look, there were local problems which is related to the governor there. I'm saying this with all due respect to him. I tried to mediate along the line between him and some people at the grassroots. Unfortunately, it didn't work. Perhaps there was a kind of overconfidence and so on and so forth. That was it. But I want to tell you, you can do your very independent investigation among the people in the Southwest, whether in Osun or your state or, Lagos or Ogun State or Ekiti and Ondo. And I want this to be put on record that I, forecasted that we will have about 80% of the votes of our people. You see, his emergence has actually done more than assuaging a lot of feelings. Time was when agitation for the so-called Yoruba nation was very top and it was spreading like fire. But nobody's talking about that anymore because they feel that once Asiwaju, having regard to his pedigree and what he represents as about the best in Yoruba land today, I mean, there's no reason why agitation for a Yoruba nation should continue.
But is it about ethnic affiliation, for
It
instance?
is. I don't
the point
know.
is
You see, we are not all the same human beings.
Yes.
People have different perspectives, people have different approaches. I, as a person, have always boasted that I'm not supporting Asiwaju because he's a Yoruba man. Neither am I supporting him because he's a Muslim, but because he's the best that Nigeria deserves at this point in time.
Yeah, but beyond that, the point I'm driving at is this. Even within the Yoruba nation, as you said, for instance, we've seen very strong voices like that of Apeni Pere, for instance, which is led by the Chief Adebayo.
Well,
and of course, tilting towards an OB candidate, so to speak.
With due respect to all the elders in Afenifere, so-called Afenifere, tell me one election that they have won in the last 20 years. Either that of a member of the House of Assembly, or that of House of Rep, or that of Senate, or governorship.
Are you saying that their voices are not loud enough?
They may be loud. I mean, it's not the loudness in a voice, that determines electoral votes. If there's so much substance in what you describe as the loudness, they should be able to boast of in a particular state where they can say, we made this happen for party A or party B or party B, but that does not exist.
But then understanding their disposition is that, the Southwest has been at it, Obasanjo was there for 8 years and so on. And it's about time for the Southeast, for instance, who hasn't been
This thing is not granted a la carte. It's not granted. I mean, in any case, there's an Igbo man who is also contesting on the platform of Labour. There's a Yoruba man who is contesting only, not because he's a Yoruba man, but because he's the best that APC in its wisdom can offer if we want to, win the presidential election in 2023. And you will agree with me that the combination of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu and that of Shetima is really an electoral masterstroke, which made a lot of people start making all the noise about, baseless complaints.
But you are also very much aware of some of the concerns, for instance. You're saying he's about the best, in the Southwest.
Yes.
But we knew that, during the presidential primary of the APC, there is also the current vice president, who aspire
The current
to pick the
vice
ticket.
would-
And in terms of energy,
What-
in
what they
terms
mean?
of
Have they done the competition in assessing energy between them to know who has more energy
even
or who
age-wise,
does not have?
you can be
It's
able
not
to
about-
say.
you could. Let me tell you, time was when the current president was sick. A lot of people, took him for the dead. Today, I can assure you, he's stronger than you and I.
You mean Ashwaja Bolan?
No, I'm not. I'm talking of even President Muhammad Buhari. Today is as strong. He doesn't use walking stick. He's not aided in walking. So is Asiwaju Tinubu, and you can imagine the difference in age between CEO Asiwaju Tinubu, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and President Muhammad Buhari. So it's not about age. It is about it. And this is, I dare say also that to be a president is not about labor. It's not about physical labor.
But we know what physical presence would also do in terms
of course,
of
there's
governance.
There's nothing to.
Your presence will be required at certain positions.
There's nothing to distract or detract from the fact that Asiwaju Tinubu is as healthy and as strong as anybody other person around. If you are a Jack, Mr. Jack, or you are whatever, is that all that the presidency requires by way of qualification? You need sound education, you need experience, you need exposure, you need dynamism. Of course, you also need good health. And we are happy to say that.
You're pretty sure, his present health condition.
What is the health condition? If you wish to tell us.
Because we are going towards a very rigorous, campaigns. This time around, it's even 6 months, straight, so to speak.
Yes.
It requires a lot
what gives the impression that, look, Atiku is 76 or thereabout. Atiku is about 6 years older than Asiwaju. Why are the people not complaining about Atiku's age? It's a question of when you see that you have somebody, an opponent, who has, greater advantage than you want to paint him, red or paint him black, living merit, living substance. So there's no question about, the health of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I can assure you.
Okay, now going back to the trajectory, you were talking about the fact that, the Southwest is already, in support of your principle.
Not only the Southwest.
Let's look at the Southwest.
I've even challenged a lot of people that.
Because yes, the reason why I'm asking this question, a number of people made up the Southwest, not just the Yorubas, for instance. If you look at religious demography, again, also, it plays a role. And then take, for instance, in Lagos, we know that a substantial number of, other indigens, of Nigeria, including Igbos, for instance, substantial number. And then there is also this concern about the raging youth, enthusiasm around the candidature of Peter Obi. Doesn't that worry you?
Not at all, not at all. Look, charity must begin at home. What legacy has Peter Obi left for the people of Anambra, which will make even the average Igbo endeared to him?
But he said the record is there for him to speak for him in Anambra State.
Which record?
He left, a huge amount of money after leaving the
money he had invested
the corpus of the state.
The government money that he had invested in his private company. Is that what you are talking of? Could that be an advantage? If you talk of somebody leaving money, was he supposed to leave money? Is he a banker or is he a bank?
But
was the money for
isn't that showing some level of prudence,
what is the prudence?
And transparency?
Look, going to government is about going to perform for the benefit of the people, not going to keep the people's money which he was, using for his own business purposes. And you say that is an advantage.
Are you saying that there is no performance to show?
Well, if you know, please let us know. The people of Anambra are saying there's no legacy project that this Peter Obi of a man had left in Anambra. And ever since he's been going around to campaign, have you heard him list any achievements apart from saying that he left some money, which is even being disputed? Is he a money keeper, or is somebody who ought to go and use the monies to develop education, to develop infrastructure, to build roads and bridges and to take care of the health care of the people there. I mean, we should get our bearing right. We should get, the priorities right.
But then, looking at what the current political trajectory is showing, that there's this mass mobilization, especially among the youths, towards this movement.
Tells you that even that mass mobilization of youth is not, gearing towards even Tinubu president. You see, I'm a director of one of the major campaign organizations for Tinubu. And I'm in a position to say that the zeal and the enthusiasm that people from all over this country have shown towards belonging, having a sense of belonging. People are virtually begging us to join our campaign organization from all over the country. And I have challenged people when after having assured that by the grace of God in the Southwest, our target, which I am confident we will be able to achieve, is 80%. But even in the north, in the core northern states, people in the critical stakeholders in the north have said that is northerners, are not ungrateful people, that they appreciate what Tinubu has been doing, has done in the past, and has been doing for the ordinary people all over the north, and that they will show by supporting him. They will show their gratitude by supporting him. And I think cuts across the entire north.
Yeah, I think all of that is not being done for the stomach infrastructure of it.
Well, I don't know. I don't know who engages in stomach infrastructure. But what is important, if a governor makes a statement, would you say he's making it on the basis of expecting stomach infrastructure? A number of political leaders in the north have said this, and they have worked towards it. In fact, the fact that northern governors considered the ticket to Asiwaju Ahmed Bola again speaks volumes. And these are the leaders of the people.
But, he hasn't shown much, commitment to bringing people together.
How?
Since after the primary, the presidential primary,
yes,
it appears that all the key contenders are not actually working with us.
You see,
ticket, so to speak.
We still have 6 months before the election comes. If he's moving towards one person or the other, he won't start blowing that in the news that he's doing this or that. We do know, for somebody who had the largeness of heart to visit a number of those who were prepared for immediate reconciliation, he visited the vice president at home. He visited a few others. One could assume or presume that his greatest enemy politically in this country is, former President Olusegun Obasanjo. But he visited him at home.
Even though the outcome of that meeting is yet to be public.
Well, you don't. It is not for public consumption. It cannot.
Is it actually in favor of your principle?
Is it?
Is it actually in favor of your principle? Because if it was, perhaps
he took the initiative. He was not forced to visit Olusegun Obasanjo. In fact, in the last 24 hours, he has also visited, the former president. That's a very charitable thing to do. You talk
about those who have shown interest, in meeting, or rather in, reconciling, if you like, or being part of the movement. Is it to say that some are unapproachable?
No, I'm not saying that, but you cannot have everything in one fell swoop. You can only presume, and I think you can safely presume that efforts are going on in other directions.
But, still looking at this, we're beginning to see manifestations of this, rancor, if you like, within the party, or disagreement, or lack of cohesion, so to speak. Now, going by the recent development, there was a scheduled meeting for all the stakeholders, all those aspiring, if you like, under the platform of the APC.
All former aspirants.
Former aspirants and what have you. But that meeting could not hold. Some say it is because of this strong division within the party.
People would always want to say aloud their dreams, their fortuitous dreams. And that's exactly what is happening. They want to say what they want happen, what they want to see happen. That is one. You see, political party, for me, every crisis, every disagreement, seeming disagreement within political party is not a strange thing. Because political parties are parties made up of free joiners and free leavers. There's no strong, regulation that this must be, what the situation will be. People have their constitutional right of association, of friendship, of, aspiration. And for a lot of people, when they aspire for something and they don't get it, they forget God's place in the planning of human affairs. For me as a Muslim, I always remember, because I've aspired to in the past, and then when it doesn't happen, I will just remember that God said in the Quran that how many are those things you cherish, but which are not good for you, and how many are those things you hate, but are the best for you. In any case, one's life must not depend on individual or particular aspiration. So for me, everything that is happening would always continue to happen insofar as there cannot be limitation to people's aspiration.
Yeah.
But when it happens, everybody must accept that no two people can get the ticket of a political party for a particular position at the same time.
Yeah, but we've seen, so much persistence, if you like, or resilience, or, determination by the major opposition party, to reconcile its disagreements or those within the party. That,
like who and who?
For instance, we've seen, for quite some time now, there has been this push, to reconcile the presidential candidate and the current governor of Rivers State, for instance. If the PDP, even though it's not on the saddle, can do this, what more of the APC, which has a lot of stake, No,
but did you see that kind of thing happen in PDP? Did you see it happen in APC?
That's what we're actually
There's nobody
saying.
in APC who is taking our presidential candidate, who is holding him to ransom. Nobody.
But no one is also talking. Isn't that, shouldn't that worry you?
What you worry me, what specifically, that people are not talking? It is their choice. People have choices.
Not aligning, so to speak, because if they are aligning...
You cannot say, look, if you are not praying that there should not be alignment, then you cannot say with all conclusiveness that there will not be alignments. Those are two different things. The best thing, the most godly thing is to assume, to pray that things will work out, because it is in the working out of peaceful resolution that Nigeria's safety and Nigeria's guarantee of good governance can take place.
Yeah, some also argue about the sellability, if you like, of your candidate, talking about Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, especially against the backdrop of what has become a nightmare for the party. The choice of Kashim Shettima, for instance.
It's not a nightmare.
It is still haunting the party.
It is not a nightmare at all. It is the best thing that could have happened. It is a master stroke. That combination is a master stroke.
Even against the interests of certain groups.
Which group? No, all interests cannot be sorted out at the same time. Look, I keep asking people. A lot of times we pray, every day we pray to God to give us this, give us that, give us that. How many of such prayers get answered? So if you don't achieve what you wanted or what you prayed for, the next thing is to go to war. We don't have any problem. People are getting to understand the situation. Let me also re-emphasize. Tinubu was not picked as a presidential candidate because he's a Yoruba man or because he's a Muslim. It is because of his antecedent within politics and within the party. And Kashim Shettima was not also picked because he's a Muslim, but because of his antecedent and the fact that in the northeast where Atiku comes from, Atiku himself knows that he's not a match electoral. He is not a match.
In terms of electoral value,
in northeast in Nigeria. Go and look at the last results.
But this is a former vice president.
Has he ever headed any government? Has he ever been head of any government in this country?
But this number 2 citizen, you're talking about number 2 citizen of the country for 8 years.
Number 2 is
a presidential contender for 3 or 4 consecutive times.
Tell you, what did he achieve? What did he make out of it? What did he make out of it? Number 1, he's never been head of any government in this country, so we don't have any achievements to be credited to him. If you are now
even
also,
the privatization, which he chaired.
There are so many questions, and you know that from that privatization, he incurred the worst testimonial that any politician would want to incur, having regard to the statements and comments of his then boss, who condemned his handling of a number of economic activities of the government. I mean, so how does that become an advantage?
But we also know that there was this agreement between them, that led to them going their separate ways. Perhaps that was a... But then
could his behavior, could his handling of affairs not have resulted to the, divisions between them?
But looking at tangible results,
what are the
you happen to be the former minister of communications.
Yes.
And substantially, the revolution in the communications sector was brought about by the privatization, the unbundling of the sector. So, and you said all of that is not an achievement?
You see, let me tell you, it was done by the government at that time. I mean, but I am saying that the testimonial that Atiku got out of his handling of it is anything but positive. And so that is not a thing for anybody to beat his chest and say, it was chairman of privatization. And so what? What came out of it? He got the worst testimonial.
In what sense? Because today we're talking about a deregulated communication sector, a deregulated power sector, which Nigerians are beginning to see the result. So in what sense are you saying that?
Are you denying the fact that he had a testimonial from his then boss, who he was reporting to, and which testimonial is the worst that any politician or political aspirant would want to refer to?
But you're also very much aware of the fact that the former president might not forgive his vice then because of his role in truncating his third-term agenda.
What he referred to in his comments under review are the negative things that Atiku did. And since then, he has never come out to deny any of those allegations against him. I have not seen any denial. And till tomorrow, it remains an albatross on his political career.
So I'm saying the APC perhaps may be cashing in some of this...
Well, we cash in on it. It's there. It's his testimonial. Any politician or aspirant who has a negative testimonial would have to continue, to be in the eye of the storm.
Well, when you talk about negative testimony, some will say both candidates also share in that. We'll talk about some of those baggages, perhaps when we return.
Welcome to talk about it.
I understand we have to take a break in case you're just joining us. The program is Daily Politics, and today we're looking at 2023 and whether the APC can retain its mandate, its current mandate. And we had in the studio, in the last 30 minutes, the former Minister of Communications, Barrister Adiba Shitu, has been talking to us on the chances of the party and its candidate ahead of the 2023 election. We'll take a break. When we return, we'll continue with the conversation. Stay with us.
Every patriotic Nigerian should hear this. Any politician who means well for the people will never allow themselves or their supporters to engage in any violent, destructive activities. No politician who truly wants to serve the people and develop the nation will encourage his followers to destroy properties or take human lives before, during, or after the elections. The Nigerian public must watch out for these traits and isolate any politician who encourages supporters to engage in violence. No genuine politician or patriot will cause trouble and seek to destroy the very society which they aspire to lead or develop. Politicians who have the good of the people at heart will not allow themselves or their followers to engage in violence, destruction of properties, and then taking of lives. Be vigilant. By their words you shall know them. Shun violence. Stay away from politicians who want you to do so. Let's join hands to make the 2023 elections peaceful. This message is from the National Orientation Agency, NORA.
Thank you very much for staying with us on Daily Politics. And today we're looking at 2023 and whether the APC can retain its current mandate. And we've been interfacing with former Minister of Communication, Barrister Adebayo Shitu. We are back. But let's go home. When I mean home, let's look at your home state, talking about Oyo. Because you're actually talking about the chances of the APC being brighter, in the Southwest. But we all know that the current governor of your state is from the PDP. Again, not long ago, there were also defections, from the APC to the PDP in your state. With all of this, is it a possibility, or how do you think you can dislodge, this incumbency factor, perhaps if at all APC can find its footing in your state?
You see, the myth of incumbency was destroyed by us when the former President Jonathan, he was in the saddle, effective President, Commander-in-Chief, we defeated him. We did defeat him. So when you talk about incumbency, you are talking of past events which may no more hold sway. That is one. Number two, Makinde came into office as a beneficiary of the then crisis in APC in Oyo State. When one of our governors, our leader then, unfortunately is dead. Yes. I don't intend to malign him.
That's right.
So whatever I will say is only by way of history, not, there was mismanagement of the party. A lot of people would want to aspire for one position. He ended up dictating who got what and all of that. And a lot of,
so it was a product of internal party crisis.
It was. And a lot of our people went, left APC to go and work with Makinde then. But fortunately for APC, the man did not have the human capacity to retain all of them in his party.
Even with the defections that were witnessing from the APC to PDP?
I am telling you what is happening. I just came from home today, this evening, and I do know that he didn't have the wherewithal to retain them. So virtually all those who left APC at that time to go and work for him are back in APC. I can assure you about that. That is
and together you can dislodge the...
By the grace of God, it will happen. The very good thing is also the goodwill that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu enjoys throughout Yoruba land. And, an average man on the street will tell you, for presidency, it must be Tinubu. Even if we have local problems with whoever is governor, that does not affect. Apart from that, we also have a lot of PDP elements in Oyo State who will tell you presidency is for Tinubu. So I don't have any fear that...
Why presidency alone?
Local problems. If you are my governor, for instance, maybe I wanted an appointment from you, I wanted the contract, or I wanted you to do one project, and you failed to do it. That may be a reason for disagreeing, with you. But for the presidential election, people feel that this man, because, it's not Tinubu contesting at the state level. He is contesting at the federal level. And people have said the Midas touch that he had to transform Lagos from a near slum of the early 1990s and 1980s. Let him use that same Midas touch to transform Nigeria so that whether we live in Lagos State or not, we can also enjoy from the good governance that he is known for.
So if I understand, because the reason why I ask you that question is the fact that people are also looking at your personality, putting it side by side, your ability perhaps to deliver, and your, colleagues in the APC to deliver the state to your party, because that will put to test your also electoral value, your also acceptance by the people in the state. So how much are you going to take up this challenge? Is it a possibility that you deliver the state?
It's not me delivering, it's God delivering it for us. I I hate things being so personalized that we want to take advantage of the good things that God does for us. No. But we are confident that God will do it for us. Having regard to the signals we are seeing around and having, regard to some of the things that a lot of us are doing for our party in the state.
Okay. Let's look at policy issues, for instance. The APC is yet to put forward, its policy document a couple of weeks to the campaign.
When the campaign officially starts,
Mm.
it will be released. Our manifesto, which we want to tag a rebirth manifesto, will be released, and everybody will be satisfied that for this is a renewal, a rebirth kind of for our country.
Yeah, well, in spite of that, Nigerians will still want you to speak on issues.
We would get
so let's look at some of the issues.
I am not the presidential candidate of our party.
You're not, but your party
is the one who would. It is he's the one who is going to implement it, and the time has been set for campaign. Remember that campaign will be another 27.
28.
So
yeah.
people should just be patient. It will be launched in grand style.
Before it is launched, we still have to talk about some of these issues.
I don't have any authority
to speak on the issues.
To speak on an issue of which we have a presidential candidate.
No, I'm not actually talking about a presidential candidate. Your party is on the saddle.
Yes.
And Nigerians are looking at key issues.
Yes.
That
So
have
every member of our
governance.
party must come out and say this is what the party is saying. We have a National Executive Council. We have a National Working, committee. We have a presidential candidate. We have a vice presidential candidate, and we have a date for the launching of our campaign. Launching the campaign is, to launch the campaign, launching the manifesto is part of the formal thing that will herald that campaigns have started. And these are the issues over which we are committing ourselves, and anybody who wants can start taking us up on any of the issues.
If you look back, at the current performance of the Buhari administration, which is the APC administration.
Yes.
Let's take, for instance, in the area of security,
Okay.
Which has been a major concern to Nigerians.
Yes.
Would you, with all sincerity, say that the APC has delivered on its promises?
By the grace of God. And I'll tell you why. I don't just speak vacuously.
Oh.
At the time we were committing ourselves to a 3-point manifesto in 2014, 2015, on the issue of security or otherwise, the major issue was the threats and, the activities of Boko Haram. And the highlight of it at that time was the fact that about 24 local governments in the northeast of Nigeria were firmly under the control of Boko Haram, who had then expelled members of the Nigerian police force from those areas, had expelled the military, had expelled local government staff, had expelled everything government from those 24 local governments. Besides, they had even also forced out a number of residents in those local government areas, forcing them into IDP camps. By the grace of God, today, there's no single local government under the control of any Boko Haram anymore. The Boko Haram had been so degraded that most of their fighters had either been eliminated or are under, arrest, and so on. And the good thing also is that not only have people in IDP camp been resettled back to their homes, new homes have been built for them by a combination of funding from the state government, the federal government, and the international community. And I can assure you that people in those areas are forever eternally grateful to the Buhari presidency. Now, you would then say that, okay, if that is true, as it is true.
How are you dealing with the contemporary issues?
Yes, we are dealing with the contemporary issues. I think Nigerians should be charitable enough to thank the military and the police forces in their handling of banditry in the northwest region. You see, one thing
at a time, a number of people are in the kidnappers' den. At a time, people cannot move from point A to B.
There's a logic that you must look at. Number one, criminals, whether bandits or whatever, don't give notice before they strike. So whatever you want to do, it will be after the happening of the event. Number two, the war against banditry is an unconventional war. It's not a war that you can, for instance, predetermine the number of enemies on the other side or predetermine the arms and ammunitions. Number three, if you one effective way really of fighting, bandits is to be able to locate where they are and go and bomb the place. But if you adopt that method, there'll be a lot of collateral damage in the sense that the innocent people who had been kidnapped will be bombed along with them. That certainly will be a violation of the human rights of the victims, because you don't rescue people by killing them. So these are things, but you agree with me that the military, in particular in the last 4 weeks, have been doing very, very well. Except you don't listen to the news, or you don't, you are not abreast with events.
So if I understand,
you see, the other thing you must note, it is often said that hard times don't last. Tough times don't last. Tough people do.
But this has been lasting for months, for years.
But
Nigerians have been waiting.
Nigerians will continue to wait in patience, or may continue to wait in patience. I have said the strategies for fighting them. Except Nigerians are saying government should locate wherever bandits are and bomb them out of existence. That will certainly put the Nigerian government's integrity on the line, and government officials would even become subject to trial by the International Human Rights Court of Justice and all of that.
But are you worried that this perhaps could form the basis, if you like, of the campaigns of your opponents? Because as we speak, hundreds of thousands of people are displaced. A number are still in the hands of captives,
I have said
kidnappers.
The reasons are there. Do we have any of our opponents who have a better approach to handling banditry in the country? If they have, they should be trusted enough to talk out and tell them that instead of the government doing it like that way, after all, all Nigerians are the ones who are suffering. So what precludes anybody who has a better approach than what the military are utilizing now to say it out? So certainly we have answers to every interdiction that anybody may come up with.
Okay, let's talk about other issues. Education, for instance, it has become another. You provided, so to speak, your opponents with another lifeline, for your inability to address the issue of education.
Who is every conscientious Nigerian today must be annoyed with what ASU is doing. ASU is taking Nigerians for a ride. ASU is using strike to blackmail government, as if ASU's problem is the only challenge that the federal government has. They came up with a long list. Government was able to satisfy them up to 30% of it. And they feel everything should come in one fell swoop. Where is the money coming from? Because government does not just print money for the sake of just spending money. And education is, though very important, it is still one of the very many issues that federal government has to contend with. Roads have to be built, bridges have to be built, railways are being built, health sector is being attended to, and a whole lot of others. If you are a father or head of a family, you have to provide housing, you provide clothing, you provide food, and then you have maybe your wife or your children say today, I want biscuit, I want 100 pieces of biscuit or 1,000 or whatever, and they start crying. And you know that the resources, if you expend everything on their want rather than need, of course there would be no money, enough money for feeding, for paying of rent, for transportation, and for would you stupidly beg my use of beg your pardon for my use of that land? Would you say because my children are crying for biscuit, I must use every money I have to buy biscuit for them. So this is as simple as that. You have to rationalize and do the best, to ensure that there's stability in the system.
Okay, as a former Minister of Communication, for instance, are you satisfied with the level of development or performance of the current administration in the area of communication? There are also growing concerns with regards to, how Nigerians are being taxed, if you like, through phone calls and what have you. In spite of the harsh economic realities, do you subscribe to what is going on, or can you justify it?
Let me tell you one thing. Number one, I'm not here to speak for government. Of course, I'm a member of the APC, and I was once a member of the government, but not now. That is one. Number two, it is common knowledge, at least by every knowledgeable person, that tax is one of the sources of government revenue. I've had the opportunity of arguing on this a few weeks back. Where resources from oil is dwindling, government has to resort to taxes. Not only in Nigeria, everywhere in the world.
Taxing the poor and leaving the rich?
Let me tell you, who do you tax? You must tax your citizens. Who do you tax only the rich? Is only the rich those who are enjoying government benefit? If roads are not constructed, is it only the rich who will suffer? If a bridge is supposed to be done somewhere and it is not done, is it only the poor, the rich who will suffer? If education is not attended to, is it only the rich? Of course, the rich may not even need some of these services. That's the truth of it. You see, in Nigeria, in the telecommunications sector, it is one of the areas. It's not the first time that government is taxing. Of course, every service that is provided, government finds a way of making money. What should concern us, really? What is government using these monies for? Are they utilizing them for the greatest benefit of the people by way of channeling it to building of roads, and so on and so forth, education and so on and so forth? So we cannot escape taxing. Of course, the taxing system will be a progressive tax system. Progressive in the sense that as your income increases, so your tax also, increase. But common things
in this case, people are battling with, harsh economic realities, very low purchasing power, and yet
it is low. It's unfortunate because I'm a victim of it too, because I would also be paying tax. So, ordinarily one would not just want to throw away money. But when you know that the money is being utilized for the good of this country, we have to make sacrifices. There's no two ways about it. And let me also say this. If I wanted to talk as a politician, I would say what I want to say. But I would rather talk as a statesman, even though the truth is very bitter. The cost of telephone services in Nigeria is not the highest, even in West Africa, not to talk of on the African continent. It's certainly not the highest. Because I've had calls to be in Benin Republic, I've had calls to be in Algeria sometime, and so on and so forth. And I discovered that the SMS message which we pay 4 naira for in this country, in Benin Republic, it is 50 naira. In Algeria, it is 150 naira. Of course, I'll be the happiest person if the whole thing is made free. But people who engage in telecommunication services are there as businessmen and businesswomen, and their companies are businesses set up to make profit. If they cannot make profit, they will certainly, fold up, and the services will no more be available.
Okay, I would have loved to ask this question, but I don't know if you can answer it perhaps in 30 seconds. Yeah. Are you satisfied, with how your party is treating you? Some say
treating
you, for instance.
Myself as
at some point, some say for the candidature or for the position of the national secretary of your party, Omishore was picked, against your interests and what have you. With all of this, you're still battling for the party.
I will continue to battle for the party because I believe in this party. That is what, you see, I want to say again, I'm a Muslim, alhamdulillah, I have no apology, and I keep being guided.
Okay.
I don't have desperation for anything in life. I wanted to be national secretary. I didn't get to be, for one reason or the other. I put all of that behind me. I'm doing what gives me much more fulfillment now. That is campaigning for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Even though we're not campaigning here, otherwise
well,
NBC
at least you brought me here
to talk about issues anyway.
You brought me here
Thank you very
to
much.
be able to defend some of the positions of our party.
Thank you very much.
So I don't have any regret.
Yeah.
I aspired because I knew I was competent. I would be able to handle it. It didn't come. I forgot about it, and now I'm on a stride that I have capacity for.
Thank you very much, Barrister Adebayo Shitu, former Minister of Communication and a chieftain of the APC, for talking to us on Daily Politics. We appreciate all the perspectives. On behalf of our guests and the technical crew, this is where we come to the end of today's Daily Politics. Join us tomorrow. We'll be back with another topic and personalities. Until then, enjoy the rest of your day.